Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Kickin P Podcast. I am your host, yours truly, the one and only Prince. We got a special one tonight, man. We got a special one tonight. We got a special guest in the building. We got a businesswoman, entrepreneur, a mother, successful businesswoman, and now author of a new novel, man. She got a book that's out that's entitled I Learned to Love Me, A Guide to Self-Love. Please help me and join me in welcoming Chloe Brianna to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm super excited to have you, man. I appreciate you for coming on and joining me, man, so we can have a little discussion, talk about a couple things real night.
I'm excited to talk.
Yeah,
I watched the other episodes and I love the way you think. It's interesting talking to people who are actually thinking right now.
I appreciate it, man. I'm definitely trying to change the topic of conversations and just to be a little bit more thought provoking and a little bit more spiritual awakening for sure. I feel like we need that in our community like real bad right now. So I'm just trying to bring it as a different edge. We got a lot of the other shit going on right now as far as content. So I feel like it's a need for more people, from our community to start diving into little shit like this. So, but let's get started.
I agree 110%.
Let's jump right into it, man. I'm excited, man.
Okay.
So we got the title of your book is I Learned to Love Me, A Guide to Self-Love. Can you explain to the people just what the book is about? Just a general description.
It's basically a self-love guide. I was going through a toxic situation in my life, and I basically was feeling like everybody around me had me effed up. I don't want to cuss. I don't know if we could cuss.
No, you good. You good on here. Speak your mind.
I feel like everybody had me effed up, and as easy as it is to point fingers and be like, I want to blame them or what they doing, it's like, what am I actually doing to make people feel like it's okay to even approach certain situations the way they doing, or what am I giving off to make them feel like this cool? So it's like I need to start doing some self-reflecting and hold myself accountable and figure out like, where am I going wrong? What part am I playing in this whole situation? In the midst of doing that, I started realizing confidence and self-worth and self-value are not the same thing. So as I was deep diving in that, I also realized like nobody ever really told us how to love ourselves. Like it's easy. I came from a different upbringing, but I was always surrounded by love. People told me how pretty I was, but they wasn't necessarily implementing, had these type of boundaries, don't sacrifice yourself, show up this way, show up that way. So the more I was going over that and going into that, I'm like, I want to create a guide. As I'm unlearning and relearning, I want to put all the information that I got into one place so that when other people come to this space in their life, they got something to go back and reference.
No, that's deep. That's important too, man. I feel like that's important, especially even like getting started on that journey. I think a lot of people ain't even like in the right headspace to even start to begin to even make the steps on that journey. But I feel like it's the most important one though. It's like the most important journey we should be taking. We kind of put off into taking because we so wrapped up in just a regular, tug of war, just a life, man. But that's super important though, man. But just touch on a little bit more, cause you say you kind of like was going through a situation and you kind of had to like take accountability and self-reflect on the situation and kind of grow from it. Can you touch a little bit on more on that of like how important that is, especially when you like seeking that growth to the next level?
Yes, I feel exactly like you stated before. It's actually the most important thing to do in any aspect of your life. And I touch base on that in the book too, because at the moment in that particular space in my life, I was more trying to figure out things in terms of relationships, but the more I was doing the work, it showed up in all aspects of my life. Like it's super important to really learn yourself and figure out your terms and conditions and just get to know yourself on a soul level. So I think it's super important, especially now after going through and getting through it. I also learned that it's not linear journey. Like you're not just gonna reach a destination or wake up one day and be like, oh, I know everything. Because as we evolve, you always learning yourself. You constantly figuring out who you are. But it is super important to make time and be intentional about learning yourself throughout the whole process.
No, that's a fact. That's super important too. That's super important. And I just think, man, I just think, like I said, it needs to be more prevalent, especially like when we raising our kids, that we really like instilling these values in our kids. Like you kind of said
Facts.
earlier, like we was always given that love. Like we come from a loving community, but we never really taught to have certain mannerisms and certain ideology when it comes to actually like how to actually love a person. Like you get that love, but we never taught to. This is how you're supposed to love a person unconditionally. Like we kind of like
But we
the
only
opposite
get that
role at
love
some
to a
time.
certain extent, I feel like.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's not really unconditional. If it meets a condition, then it's not really the unconditional love. So we're not really even taught that. We giving it like kind of a sense like from a lot of people in our lives, like mostly our mothers and like grandmothers and paternal figures, but not from really outside sources like that. I don't feel like we kind of really grasp the concept of what real unconditional love is. And I feel like your book is kind of really important because finding out what unconditional love really is starts with knowing how to love yourself. It starts
Absolutely.
with figuring you out, knowing how to love yourself, and then you could go forth from there to experience unconditional love and to be able to give it. But you can't do that unless you start from a place to where you could be accountable for where you are in your life and just learn how to love yourself. Just learn how to love yourself. So I think that's super important, man. But yeah, man. So I got another question though. So I seen you had a quote that say, falling in love with yourself is not easy. Facing your reflection can be very uncomfortable, but it's the most important thing in life to do. And we kind of just touched on it, but just talk about how like that uncomfortability is and how you could push forward to get through it.
Oh my goodness, it was so uncomfortable. And I think like that's another reason I put the guide together too, because when I was in that space of being uncomfortable, I'm like, damn, I don't know who to call because I don't even know who else could relate on this level. Like, why is nobody talking about how hard it is to face your reflection, those the ugly side, the shadow? Because even with your spiritual awakening and stuff, a lot of times we kind of shun our shadow side and try to move away from that darkness. But in reality, they both have to be respected. You got to fall in love with all of you. Like you said, that unconditional love is not just the pretty, the perfect. You gotta give them flaws some love too. But sitting and kind of understanding what those flaws consist of or where they even came from is treacherous.
Ooh, it is.
It's treacherous for sure.
It is.
But like I said, going through it and getting through it changed my life. So I feel like even though it's uncomfortable, you kind of pick your battles in life. Like just like how people talk about running a business is hard, but going to work is hard also. You kind of got to pick your hard.
Yeah.
And that hard is worth it, facing yourself and really getting an understanding of who you are and why you operate the way you do. It just helps. It definitely was, like I said, super uncomfortable, but I feel 110% better after going through that space. And like I said, that also motivated me to work on a guide because I think this is going to be beneficial to help people get through those uncomfortable stages.
And I agree 1,000%. I think love and unconditional love, if you know about your universal laws, you know that's the most important one. It's super important, unconditional love, man. And people don't realize how prevalent it is and just how it pretty much molds the way we move through the universe as far as our relationships and just emotions in general. They don't even know that love is supposed to be experienced in a completely different way than most people experience it. Most people experience just a transformed or disfigured form of love. They don't receive unconditional love, so they don't know that it's the most important thing. They don't know that all emotions stem from love. Love is really the only emotion. All emotions stem from and are twisted forms of unconditional love, like hate, jealousy, fear, anger, sadness. All those are just twisted forms of love, of unconditional love. So people don't realize that. They don't realize that in order to conquer yourself emotionally, you have to conquer unconditional love first. So that's super important, man. So I definitely agree with what you said, man. We just gotta push that narrative more in the community and stem away from like the shit that's been labeled like the cool shit. I say like, fuck niggas, get money, fuck the bitches. We don't need no nigga. We don't need no, like, we kind of got to like shy away from that narrative because it's for one, ain't putting us in a better position as far as the relationships between none of us. It always, goes left. it ain't beneficial to us spiritually. So it's like we got to try on a different hat and see how it look on us. We can't just keep wearing the same face and expecting a different result. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's
That's
super important,
insanity.
man.
But I want to touch based on something you just said when he was talking about love being in every emotion. I don't think people really understand how emotions one whole frequency and love is the highest frequency. Like love trump everything. So that's another like big part of my brand too. You know, it's assertive love, but my slogan is lead with love because love trump everything. Like every emotion is tied to a vibration. And your fear, your shame, your guilt, your hurt, all of that is at a lower frequency. If you approach stuff from the aspect of love or you just coming from a good place, it's going to always be a positive outcome. Even when in relationships at work with your children, period, like you should just lead with love. And I don't think people look at it from that aspect. I know personally growing up, I always heard like, love hurts, or you got to go through it and you got to go through certain stuff with a person to test your love. And I don't believe that now at all. Like, love should never hurt. Love should never be confusing. Love should never leave you in with your feelings hurt. That's the complete opposite of love.
No, fact.
But
No, I agree.
I
I agree
also
1,000%.
give my people grace because like you said, we don't get taught how to love. Like, so they can only show up from a certain capacity. They only know how to teach us so much. And I'm learning too, just based off creating this book and being in this space on my journey. Like, our elders didn't necessarily know how to love themselves either.
Facts. They didn't. They was never taught it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
so it's really changing the whole narrative on love as well too, because love shouldn't hurt.
No, I agree. I agree. And like I said, those are the twisted forms of it. Like you said, it shouldn't be painful. Love shouldn't be any negative emotion given to your partner under any circumstance. You know, it shouldn't be that way. So I definitely agree with what you're saying 1,000%. But kind of to piggyback what I was saying earlier, I feel like it's like kind of a disconnection like between the men and women in our community right now. I feel like it's a lot of the 50-50 thing going on and the battle of the sexes shit. And that's cool and it's entertaining as far as like, you know what I'm saying, some cool shit to get into and to talk about. But I feel like it's a real disconnection there. Do you feel like it's a disconnection between the men and women in our community? And where you think that disconnect is coming in at?
I agree, but I only agree to a certain extent because I feel like we see it so much on the internet, but it's not really expressed in real life. Like I said, even with you saying, even with me digging in my journey and being like, okay, I know my value, I know my worth, but your actions not aligning with that. So we see a lot of stuff online where it's like, yeah, the man got to pay this, he got to do this, he got to move a certain way. But in reality, the average woman is dealing with somebody who don't have no money. Like, so it's fake. Like,
Yeah,
we only
facts.
see certain stuff in our algorithm. But even if people like really deep dive, like we talked about, with their appearance, your mama was messing with your daddy and he was broke as fuck. If you came from generational wealth,
Right.
your circumstances will be different. And in our community, we're not really seeing that. So
Yeah.
I hear what people saying, but in reality, that's not the internet. Not real.
Yeah, facts. I feel like the internet is where the disconnect coming in at. I feel like
Right.
a lot of it is because of people just on too much social media, man, and they falling into the hype of that shit and trying to bring it into real life aspects and real relationships when 98% of it is we all know it's cap shit.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
what it
cap.
is.
So I feel like
I
that's
do
what
feel like it's more on the youth than it is like our generation and people older than us because my
Yeah.
son is 17 and I have seen him in situations where he like my baby is a hard worker anyway. He likes to work regardless, and it just blows my mind because based off how I grew up, everything I'm doing is really so you don't have to work as hard, but he's still not trying to get it. As a man, it's like, no, ma, I want to go get my own. And I want to do this, and I need to be able to take care of my family and do this. It's like, boy, please, you're 17. You don't have to
He
take
got his
care
head
of nobody.
on right.
It's not your. He do, and I'm truly proud of him. But at the same time, it's like I feel like social media influenced that where you feel like you got to have a certain amount of money because you got to do this today or you got to do that. And it's like in reality, if a person truly loves you and understands you on a soul level and y'all have a real connection, she's not looking for you to do nothing for her.
I can agree with that.
especially coming from Chicago. Like, and it's funny because I just had a conversation with some people about this last week, and the guy was bringing up, the list and the Chili's and all that. I'm like, in reality, women, we be happy to just hang with you. If I really like you, if I'm really connected with you, I just want to be around. I just want to be in your essence. We could go ride down Lakeshore Drive. We could go have a picnic. But that's how you determine whether a person truly likes you or values you or not. Don't get me wrong. I don't feel like you should be subjected to not going out and not being courted and not going on dates. Do I feel like dating is important? Absolutely. But when you truly like somebody, I don't give a fuck what you got. I just want to be in your essence.
That's facts too though. But I think we kind of getting away from that a little bit, and I think like we saying it's because of the internet, especially like you said. I don't really think it's more relevant like in our probably age group, but definitely like amongst the youth. I feel like they leaning towards that way. They in a space where I feel like neither side is kind of like hearing each other. Like the dudes kind of feel this way about the girls, and the girls kind of feel this way about the dudes, and it's just leading to further unnecessary disconnect. I think, man. So I think that we just gotta again, get back to the narrative to where we pushing unconditional love and just showing them the right way, showing the youngsters coming up the right way, how to love unconditionally, and how to put the correct energy towards the correct person, and just how to prioritize growth. I feel like they just not prioritizing the growth either, and not even just, I can't even just put that on their age bracket. I feel like just in our community in general, that majority of us not prioritizing the growth. So yeah, man, we gotta get that shit together, man.
But I understand because it's hard. Like after going through it, now it's easier for me to give people grace. But at the same time, I feel like me giving a person grace doesn't necessarily mean I have to tolerate certain things. I think if we actually start approaching stuff from a space where we setting certain boundaries and not just dealing with anything, it will force people into growth. If you continue to accept the motherfucker doing the bare minimum or not learn, they don't have no what would be my purpose of going out my way to get better or become better if you're gonna keep taking me at 65%?
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
And I think we're too focused. The clash and the conflict comes from, you need to get better. Women telling men they need to get better, and men telling women they need to get better. No, you need to become better as an individual, and then that'll trickle over into every other aspect of your life.
It'll
That's
be a
another
domino
part of my
effect.
brand.
Yeah.
Cultivating healthy relationships, not just with yourself, not just with your partner, but with your community as well. Like once you work on you, like I said, it's going to change all aspects of your life.
It is.
And I feel like family is so important, but we don't necessarily see it in the most positive, examples as of right now. So getting to that point where we can have healthy relationships is going to affect our communities too. And it's just going to show up in a way better aspect. Like we just need to see new things. But like I said, in order to get to that point, we got to start looking in the mirror.
Fact.
You can't point the finger at nobody else. And like I said, it was easy for me at that point in my life to blame the next person. Like, he doing this or she doing that, or why would you do this? It's like, why are you doing what you're doing?
But you know what I feel like too? I feel like accountability is really tough for women, man. I feel like it's real tough for y'all. I'm just saying.
Don't say just for women. I feel like accountability is tough for all of us.
I'll give you that. Accountability is tough for everybody, but I gotta be honest, I do feel like it's more of a battle for women. And I'm just trying to figure out, what is it about accountability that women struggle so hard with? And I get this, everybody. Again, it's everybody. Everybody need to take accountability. But like I said, I feel like it's more of a battle and a struggle for women to do it. And we got to be honest, like, it's a fake struggle, man, for most women. Not all women. I don't want to put that hat on all women, because there's some women that can take accountability and make the changes and grow and learn from their lessons. But a lot of women struggle in it, man. So do you think it's a struggle, and where do you think that struggle stems from?
I don't know. That's what I've been sitting up here thinking about, because I told myself today, like even coming on, I was going to give myself space to really think about the questions. And I can see why you would say that, because it's way more examples of women not holding themselves accountable than it is. But I think
you said it, not me.
So I understand why you saying that based off what's being glorified and what's being pushed to the forefront. But I'm thinking just for me personally, in spaces where I didn't hold myself accountable, what was preventing me not feeling like I had a safe space to do it. Or, it's easy to point the finger and be like, women need to be held accountable. You need to hold yourself accountable and do this, this, and that. It's like, okay, when I surrender and I decide to do that, then what? Do you hold space for me? Can you hold space for me? And I don't think we have those spaces where it's just like we're protected or we feel comfortable enough to hold ourselves accountable. If that makes sense.
No, it make perfect sense. It make perfect sense. I'm gonna give you a little pushback though. I'm gonna give you a little pushback if that's cool. I feel like that's a.
Absolutely, that part of converse.
I feel like that's a little. I feel like it's kind of an excuse though, or a cop out, in a sense to where, like, should nobody dictate? Should nobody have like any jurisdiction or dictate how you choose to move? If you choose to be a certain way, I feel like you should be that way, whether somebody, gives you that energy back in return or not. Like if I'm a
I
nice
agree
person,
with you
like if I'm a
100%.
nice person, I'm not going to be a nice person whether somebody being mean to me or not. If you know what I'm saying, if I'm a genuine nice person, I'm gonna be a nice person. So I get what you're saying, but it's like you got to take accountability on the accountability too. It's like
I agree with you too, but at the same time, we saying why do most women do it?
Yeah.
They're not in the position to think that far into it.
I agree.
So
I agree.
right, so you speaking from the abnormal. Coming from the normal perspective, I feel like I understand them not feeling comfortable holding themselves accountable because maybe they just don't feel like the next person will have the capacity to even understand.
So whether somebody understand it or not, you don't express it. I feel like that's a cop out a little bit.
I feel like I
whether somebody
agree.
understand it or
that
not,
it
you
is a
gotta
cop-out.
still be. You know what I'm saying? Because
I agree.
that's
I
how you
think you
receive
should
the energy
express
back from the universe that you receive. Like it's about receiving the right energy from the universe. People need to understand that energies and frequencies is real.
How many people you think understand that?
Too little. But that's the issue
Right.
though. That's the issue though.
What are we talking about?
but that's a part of the issue though, is what I'm saying though. Like that's a huge part of the problem. Especially if you genuinely looking into like bettering yourself and growing, which most people claim that they trying to do. Like I'm trying to grow and trying to be better. It's like you kind of got to start understanding certain facets of life that's different from where everybody else at in life. Because pretty much everybody else in life is. It's sad to say is like on the wrong footing with the shit. Like majority of the people is going down the wrong path and they just don't got the right mindset to move through the universe through the correct way. So I'm saying if you preaching that or you on Instagram posting motivational shit and you saying that you want a different aspect and you want this and that, it's like you kind of got to move different and you kind of got to adopt a different mindset. So I don't know,
You
man.
gotta unlearn everything you learn and relearn, but
you do.
I don't think people really understand that either.
They don't at all, and they don't even have a wanting or like a yearning to even have that type of different mindset. They find we're going through life with the current mindset that they have now, which is a terrible one if I'm being honest, and that's a problem though. That's the problem.
They're not seeing enough examples. Like I said before, that's why it was harder for me to say that I disagree with you about the woman aspect of accountability because we only seeing certain stuff. So it's easy for somebody to post an affirmation or a quote, but like I said, they don't even really know where to start or how to start. Who am I calling? Am I calling my grandma? How am I calling my grandma? And she been disrespected her whole life. How am I calling my mama and she still warped in a negative cycle on the hamster wheel? Who am I going to for this guidance? And as easy as it is to say like, oh, pray about it or lean towards spirituality, you're not really getting a clear-cut answer in that either. So the only way to truly get those answers is to go within.
I agree, but I feel like it needs to be more of a cultural push for people to be like, it's time to start going within and getting that type of shit, figuring it out, and less attention on like being a bad bitch and twerking and doing like all that shit cool. Like we can get back to that after we figure this life shit out first. So I feel like it needs to be a huge cultural push where we leaning away from that narrative and leaning more towards people really finding themselves and really finding out what unconditional love is. But I wanted to ask you real quick on this question too, because I got another question for you. I got a couple questions written down for you too, so I got a little list.
I love a good question.
No, but listen. So it's been like a little pushback I've been seeing recently of like traditional gender roles, especially like within a household. Man not do the dishes, but take out the trash and change the oil and shit, and the woman do the dishes, and you know what I'm saying? Just whatever the traditional gender roles are. It's been like a lot of like pushback I've been seeing on social media of, especially like I would say with the younger crowd, or a lot of people in our generation too, if I'm being honest. Like people don't really want to lean into those traditional gender roles. What are your thoughts on the traditional gender roles and people not leaning into them as much?
I'm not exactly sure which law it is, but I know one of the universal laws touch base on it being masculine and feminine and everything. And I think once we start tapping into that law, we'll have a different understanding of what roles should be placed where, because we going based off a system, one that has never been built for us, and a patriarch. It don't necessarily resonate with real life and in our households.
Right.
And I had to learn this the hard way too, because I found myself trying to like suppress my emotions or fit in certain boxes to be more submissive. But in reality, I have a more masculine essence. Can I tap into my feminine? Yes, but at my root, I'm more masculine, and that's okay. So I typically gravitate towards men that are a little bit more feminine, not no bitch ass nigga, but one who's more passive, and that's okay. But we're so fixated on doing things like it's been done in the past that we don't necessarily acknowledge that it's okay to be a feminine man. It's okay to be, because feminine is really more so associated to emotions. Being more masculine, you're more logical, or you're more you work harder, or you show up a little bit more aggressive. It's different types of polarities when it comes to that. Yeah. But it's masculine and feminine and everything. So if you want to clean more and he like cooking, so be it. But that all to me go back to knowing yourself too, because you have to know who you are going into the space. Me knowing that now, I can accept or embrace a more feminine man in a different way, because I know how I am. I know what I need. I know what makes me feel comfortable. Me and alpha men don't necessarily go together the best, because typically alpha men want a woman that's more submissive or more feminine. So I don't necessarily think I'm compatible with a beta man, but it's different. It's different stages.
A feminine man is crazy work. You got to unpack that for me a little bit.
Because it's different. Yeah, like I feel like.
So why you feel like you would lean towards a more feminine man than because the concept, I feel like even that concept is a little bit. It still is even a little bit like more nuanced than it should be. I feel like if a man is living within the laws of the universe and he truly knows himself, then he's not even like that man, and is really never really a feminine man. So I feel like
it's different. He is necessarily a feminine man, because a feminine man could be just more of a man that's in tune with his emotions. I'm not saying a feminine man like he got a fanny pack and he walking around with his nails done. But I'm saying
a feminine man sounds like a man who don't have discipline over his emotions. Like it sounds like a man who hasn't mastered.
Right. That's your perception. That's what you placing on it. And just because I'm not saying an alpha man, it's more categories outside of alpha and beta. I feel like we just only look to those two. Like it's a whole chart. It's a lot in between that.
Yeah, it is. But I feel like it's more nuanced than it should be. Like they make that more complicated than I think it necessarily really is. Like I said, I think a man that's truly in his essence, that truly got the universe figured out, that got God figured out, and that's walking in his purpose, I don't think that man is ever a feminine man. That's just from my personal experience, at least. Like I don't know, maybe I don't know everybody, so I can't say that's the case for everybody, but I feel like if it is dudes out there like that, they few and far in between. I would say for sure.
I feel like when I say feminine man, also I'm
Yeah,
saying
unpack it a
more
little bit
so
for me. Like,
like,
what you mean, like a feminine man, though?
I mean like empathetic, has a certain level of emotional intelligence. That person, a
That
feminine
sounds like a
man
real
would be
man,
more
though.
comfortable.
That's a real man. A real man is empathetic and have
I,
complete mastery over his
I never
emotions.
said a feminine man wasn't a real man. Who said that he just because I put feminine on it, what
Yeah,
made you feel like he was less than?
no, because I'm saying, because what's the feminine part then is what I'm trying to figure out then. So, because
That's what I'm saying. The
you name it
feminine
trace,
part
that's
for
the
me,
regular. Yeah, what's the feminine part then?
the feminine part for me is him being more in tune with his emotions,
But I'm saying
opposed to not being.
that's a regular real man though. Is what I'm saying though. If a man is not
And I'm agreeing with
emotionally
you. I'm saying why you keep saying, why do you feel like the feminine man is not a real man? They're all
because
real men.
because you haven't named the part. If a man ain't mastered his emotions completely, he's not a real man. No matter how much he provide and take care of it, and how much money he got, if he ain't mastered the universe and got mastered over his emotions, he ain't a real man in terms of the universe. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get the feminine part. You named a couple of
The
things, but
passive part, I feel like,
the passive, you said passive.
yeah, just being more passive, just being a little
Okay.
more reserved. When I think of a masculine man, I think of an athletic man, a more aggressive, not necessarily aggressive, a more assertive man, just a man that's
You can
more,
say aggressive though. Ain't nothing wrong with men.
yeah.
Men supposed to have a level of aggression to them. So you can say ain't nothing wrong with aggression. But I see what you mean now.
Yeah, I
Though. I
don't
see
think
what you
nothing
mean though
wrong with
now.
all of it, but I'm just saying when I say that feminine man, I don't feel like he's that assertive. He's more passive.
I got you. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
why you if you don't mind me, prying and asking questions, why you feel like you need a man that's more like that? Because you feel like you a alpha woman?
I do feel like I'm an alpha woman, and I'm just going based off previous experiences. And I've dated many alpha men, or what they consider to be alpha men, and it was more of a competition. It got more to, it's like we start being very compatible, opposed to growing together. It was like, oh, you doing this? I'm gonna do this. Like, no, just chill. Let me do me. Like what the fuck?
So what makes
I'm
you
trying
what's your definition of an alpha woman then? Like, what makes you an alpha woman?
Being assertive, being way more logical than the average woman, showing up as the businesswoman. Yeah, I just show up in spaces more masculine than I do feminine, and I feel like that gives me my energy comes off more alpha than anything else.
No, I think that is a big one there, especially the I forgot what you just said. The damn, I forgot what you just said. What was the traits you just said? My bad. You
You're
said
not wrong. I feel the best of us. Just being assertive in how I show up more in my masculine in
yeah.
certain
Then you
rooms
said that's what you
because I
said. You
have to.
said like you approach a lot of shit like logically. So I think that's probably a big one that would probably discern from an alpha female to a different one, because most females, I would say, they don't really like to lead with logic. So I could see how that would make a alpha female. That would be a trait of an alpha female. That kind of makes sense. But do you think
But
it's
I
been a
don't think we
detriment
should
to you, or
put
you
so
think it's
much,
been?
huh?
Do you think that's been like a detriment to you as far as like the relationships you built over the years, you being an alpha female, or is it something that you kind of lean into?
That's a great question. And I don't necessarily feel like I like to lean into it, because it does make me lean more into a role that's not my own. Because ultimately, when I think masculine, feminine too, it's feel like feminine is more of you being intuitive and like me utilizing my emotions and understanding how I feel about things, opposed to masculine showing up in just logic. Like when I show up in just logic, a lot of times I wasn't trusting my gut, or I wasn't listening to my intuition. And I feel like as a woman, that's one of our superpowers, and that's how we should show up in relationships. But a lot of times we lean away from it. And that's what I was about to say with the gender roles. Is like, it shouldn't be, oh, because I'm a woman, I do A, B, C, and E, or oh, because I'm a man, I do A, B, C, and E. Is no, due to me being a woman, my superpower is my intuition. My superpower is I feel what you don't feel. And your superpower may be whatever it is, your logic or whatever that case may be. I can't necessarily speak on that because I'm not a man.
Mhm.
But we should be okay with being in our essence and showing up as we are and coming together. You have something I don't have, and I have something you don't have, and we're supposed to put them together and have a, a full partnership, opposed to it being like, I can do what you can do, you can do what you can do. Let's do this like this. Like, you show up as the best you, and let me show up as the best me.
No, I agree. No, I agree with that. But I still do think to a certain extent that like they had it right with some of the genders, like gender roles and stuff. Like maybe not. Like again, like today's society is so different. You kind of gotta like put on a couple different hats, especially in relationships these days, just to make it work. So you kind of gotta switch a lot of shit up. But I still think some of the shit is need to stay though. They trying to get rid of all of it, man. And I just don't agree with the shit. Like some of the shit is a
I think it
man's
depends
job
on the
to do, and
individual,
some
but I
shit
do
is
feel
no.
like,
I think that too, though, for sure. It depends on. I know it's because it's all subjective. It definitely depends on the people and their relationship and what they got going on. But some shit is still I feel like shit left up for a man to do, and certain shit it should be left up for a woman to do still too, though. Like we can't just.
I agree.
We can't
Because,
just
like,
throw the
cooking,
whole, you know what I'm saying, baby out with the bathwater. We kind of got to like, you know what I'm saying, keep what works and all that to an essence. But the pushback I've been seeing is like they trying to get rid of the whole like narrative behind it. And I'm like, I kind of agree with some of it, but come on now. Like, we kind of got what we doing.
no, I don't agree with getting rid of it. Because me personally, I feel like the feminist movement, that all battles ain't our battle, I would have been okay with being at home. Like, I am a businesswoman. Can I be in those spaces?
Yeah.
Yes, but no, I don't. I had a conversation with somebody about that too, not too long ago. It was somebody I dated in the past, and he was saying like how he wanted a woman like his mother. She's like, my mom's so strong. My mom's the strongest woman in the world. And it's like, I don't want my son to ever fix his lips to go out in the world and ever say, my mama the strong. No woman in the world ever decided I want to be the strongest person. No, I don't want to be. If it's my choice, I don't want to do none of this shit. Like, don't get me wrong, I am creative. I do have certain skills and I am talented in certain areas. And would I master that and use those skills to bring monetary gain? Absolutely. But do I want to work to provide for the household as a whole? No, I don't actually. And I'm totally fine with making a home peaceful and cooking. I feel like we are nutritionists, and a lot of things would be different if more women had time to cook, really nutritional meals and learn different things about herbs and foods and know that we are eating to live, not for just satisfaction. But it's hard to do that if we got to go to work and do 16, 17 things. When you get in the house, yes, she gonna throw something in the air fryer. Yes, she gonna get some processed food. Yes, she gonna stop at the store because she's doing a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But we gotta make time for the thing that's important though too though, man. But a lot of people don't know like the whole push for behind the whole feminist movement to get women into the work, you know what I'm saying, to the work field. That happened like I think it was like right after World War either one or two, where all the men was all fighting the wars and they had to have the women run the factories. So they had to put those women, take them out of the homes and put them into those positions to where they was basically feeding the infrastructure and feeding the economy. And they seen how much money they was making. So they was like, fuck that. We can't let these women go back to the crib. So after the war was over, they brought it in, the civil rights movement. They got a whole bunch of documented evidence of how, not the civil rights movement, I'm sorry, the whole feminist movement, how it was started by the CIA and a bunch of other Israeli Mossad agents and a few other people from Wall Street and just a bunch of feminist women that like they all came together and decided to push the feminist movement as a whole. So just the whole feminist movement was a play to get the women to keep the women out of the home, actually, because they was already out of there, to keep them out of the home, to keep them in the economy, to keep them working, so the economy can flourish and double. It wasn't meant to have the best interest of the family at heart. It was meant to do the exact opposite. So we got to realize that too, and realize that these jobs ain't really, like, you got to go out there and get your money, don't get me wrong, but this shit, we got to realize that this shit ain't important at all.
Let's talk about that. You don't have to go out there and get your money, because we talking about laws of the universe.
Yeah.
You can attract money.
Yeah,
If you have a big regulated nervous system, you're never going to attract the things that you want, because you're constantly distracted and you're constantly focused on the wrong shit. The more I got in tune with myself, the more I got found peace, found ease, the money gonna come. The money come in your sleep if you really want to be real. But you so focused on
That's a fact.
chasing the bag or never getting rest or not really listening to your body, not listening to your emotions, not being in tune with yourself. You so far removed from what really works in universal laws that you're really going backwards.
And I was just telling somebody that too the other day, like, until you really figure yourself out and figure out how this shit work, it's like it's not
You'll
gonna
never
never
be
really click
successful.
for you. It's like as soon as you figure out how this shit work and how to move throughout this universe, everything gonna start coming your way in abundance. Little shit just gonna start falling into play for you. Everything is gonna start lining up for you. It's gonna be shit that you never thought you could even be able to possibly do. And shit gonna just line up for you, and the universe gonna make a way for you. And I was telling them, like, it's not gonna be that way for you until you start putting your energy behind 100% what you're doing. It's not gonna
Facts.
never come until you do that. It's gonna, if you keep half-assing it or keep giving half the energy, it's not gonna come to you how you want it to come to you. But when you align yourself with the goal, the universe has to reward you with that goal. As long as you put
A lot of
110%
times I feel
behind
like
it.
when people even align themselves with the goal, they don't necessarily believe it either. And that it's like you got to get stuff in the metaphysical before it even reach the physical. So if
Yeah,
you could be working as hard as you want to work, you could be having 2, 3 jobs, but if you don't believe that you deserve that level of wealth or abundance, you won't get it anyway. Like the
facts,
money will come, the money will go.
facts.
But
That's
I
a
don't
fact.
think people really grasp that concept or take time to listen to that. But I thought I had a conversation with somebody about that in regards to like white supremacy. So white people as a whole, they teach their families to be entitled. Like, because you're white, you're going to have this. Because you're white, you're going to show up in the world like this. You shoulders out, chest back. Just like when, if you pay attention to when we walking down the street, a lot of times they don't move out the way because
Yeah,
they feel like you should move out the way.
yeah.
If we don't have that mindset, and we don't have that mindset, of course, based off a lot of trauma, and it's a lot of stuff that go into that, but it's more so about the energy is what I'm trying to
No, I agree.
get back to.
I
So
agree.
them being entitled and knowing that their life is going to be a certain way, or knowing that they're supposed to receive certain things, they attract certain things off
It
that
changes
because they
everything.
approaching the situation. Exactly. We need to start approaching stuff like that.
Yep.
You know that you're going to get the money, know that you're going to be successful, know that you're going to be healthy, know that you're going to be wealthy, without being like, oh, I believe if I do, or maybe, or if I work really, really hard, I'm going to get A, B, and C. It's like, no, I get paid to exist in reality. Just me showing up, me being who I am, me being a black woman in itself, man, I'm too magical to be somewhere working till my fucking bones crumble. No, that's not.
Yeah, you ain't supposed
That's
to.
not my mental.
And you ain't supposed to, man.
That's not my mental.
No, that's a fact. And you ain't supposed to, man, but that's what they try to push, man. And it's definitely important that we continue to have conversations like this, continue to give people a different perspective and change the perception on just on these different topics, man, and just to spark, just to keep sparking the interest for our people, especially like the younger people, because it's so important that we get them this information. And like I said, we don't generally give this information in our community. Like we well into our, mid-30s, and a lot of this shit I'm just learning over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, I would say. So I was definitely 30, just getting to
Yeah.
learning myself and just getting to learning the universe and just getting to learning how it all works. And the younger you are when you learn it, the better off you will be able to be. You won't have to do so much course correcting. You won't have to play so much catch up. You know what I'm saying? If you taught certain shit at a younger age. But I think it's up to us. I think it's super important, and then it's up to us to continue to push that narrative and instill that narrative into the younger kids, because I just feel like they so lost these days. And I be sitting back, I be like, man, it be fucking me up, because I be feeling like they just so lost these days, and they a little bit more. I feel like they're a little bit more lost, especially than we was, because they're more like sensitive generation too. Like they super emotional, I think too. So with that,
I agree
on top of being
110%,
lost,
but
it's like, damn, man, I be feeling bad a little bit about it though.
I feel bad too. But as much as I find myself feeling bad, it's like you can't focus on the negative in the situation. It's like, what can we do to make sure that I'm showing up to teach, that I'm showing up to be? Because I felt like this even with the women that came before me. Like, and that's another reason that made me real adamant about putting a guide together, because I felt like I don't have no elders to go to and talk about certain things, because a lot of the women who are older than me, they trying to show up in my age bracket. They getting the bodies done, or they coming to the club, or
Yeah.
we all dating the same men. And it's like, in reality, we would prefer that you reach down and share your wisdom, and not necessarily be so secretive or act as if you never went through nothing, or, like you said, be a bad bitch. Like, no, I need you to be a grown woman and tell me what you went through, so that I don't go through it. So with that being said, me learning how to love myself and figure stuff out, I put the guide together originally for young women. I have a soft spot for the youth. I had my son when I was 17, and I used to go in schools and talk about financial literacy, which is still super important, and
It
I
is.
think that should be touched on more. But I feel like before you start showing up and teaching them how to spend money and budget, you got to teach them universal law and understanding themselves and loving themselves first.
Facts.
And when I put the guide together, like I said, I had them in mind, but I started having more conversation with women and realizing that they don't know either. So it's like, everybody needs it.
Yeah,
Men,
everybody.
women, the babies, everybody.
Facts. No, that's a fact, man. Everybody definitely need it, because it's getting crazy. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is, I feel like it's another big one that we kind of lacking on too, is communication. I think communication is so important, and I think that culturally that, and I would, the player in me kind of want to just put it on women, but I can't put it on women. It's the men too.
Facts.
We
Look
kinda-
at you. You so ready to throw it off on us.
I can't really put it off on just the women. It's like, we are terrible at communicating. Like, what the fuck is up with that? What you think that is? That, like, the communication, like, we don't know how to communicate as a community. Like, what you think that is about that?
I think everybody is. I don't think people know the true definition of communication, and a lot of times we're talking to prove a point and to convince people of how we feel, opposed to being open to receive different perspectives. Two things can be true at one time, and I don't think people really understand that. It's like, we all have different truths because we all come from different realities, but that don't mean my truth is better than yours or your truth is better than mine. Like I said, two things can be true at one time, so you don't need to convince me that your truth is the only truth,
Right.
and I don't need to convince you that my truth is the only truth. We just need to be in a space that we're open to speak and receive information and different perspectives, opposed to talking and I'm just talking to make sure I get my point across.
You cooking with that? I wish I had me a little. We got to get the soundboard together, because I want to get that. You cooking with that one? No, that's a fact though, man. I think that's super important, man, because like you were saying, I mean, it's just. And then I think, to add to that and to piggyback off of it, it's like people are just arguing to get to win the argument.
Yeah,
Instead of
it's not
arguing
to
or
hear,
just
not to
having a
learn.
discussion, to genuinely grow from the discussion and to really arrive at a common point. I feel like that's never the goal, and probably 95% of the arguments people have is to prove a point. It's never to come to a general consensus and to solve an underlying issue. It's always just to prove a point, and it's like, that's not the proper way to communicate. And before it even get to a point to where it's an issue that make you kind of want to explode, it's like, why isn't that issue being communicated properly? You know what I'm saying? To either, it ain't even just necessarily to like somebody you in a relationship with. It could be to family members, friends. I feel like we need to work on communication in the community across the board, not even just relationships, but real crazy in relationships, because I feel like a lot of people probably ruin like something that could have been a nice or a beautiful relationship for people, but it's just communication was just off between, like, people just being on completely different pages.
I think that's all ego.
I can see
And
how
it's
ego
like,
can play a role in communication. I can see that.
that's all ego. So you showing up in that conversation to win, but it's like, okay, if they don't get your point or you don't get your point across, what's so wrong with that? They just not, maybe y'all not at the same mental level. Maybe y'all not at the same place, and it's okay. It may take them a little longer. It may take you a little longer, but what's wrong with you not being right? I think that needs to be discussed more too. Like, why
That's
do
a
you
big
feel
one.
the need
Yeah.
to be right? Why do you have to be right? Why do you have to win? Why do you have to get your point across?
I agree, because having that mindset, it stops you from receiving the information. It stops you from hearing what the person who you supposed to have this unconditional love for from receiving the
Or
energy that they supposed to
understanding with.
Yeah, when you have that emotion or when you have that response. And now I agree, and it's like I said, it's no way you could move forward in a relationship unless you have the proper communication. Both parties have to be open to basically all lines of communication. And it's just more than just verbal communication. It's nonverbals. It's different types of cues. So it's more than one way to communicate with a person. You got to learn your person, but you can't really truly learn another person until you learn yourself. So maybe it go back. To
What who is that? What
it feel like it's all going back to the love shit. Is what I'm saying. Like when we
hello?
get that, it's all going back to the love shit, man. So that's crazy, man. So
Because a lot of people come into relationships too, and they address relationships one way, and it's like, oh, because I was with this partner like this, I'm gonna do that over here.
right,
No, everybody is an individual. We're all different people. We all got different realities. That's what I was talking about with the truth
right,
aspect. Like, it's always going to be a different truth because we come from different backgrounds. So what
right,
you did over there may have worked over there, but it's not going to work over here. She may not like to be talked to like that. Like me personally, and it's going back to me knowing that I be in my masculine a lot.
yeah,
I don't always want to talk, G. Like, I do like companionship, and I appreciate being in somebody's essence, but I'm the type of person, we could be in the same room. I might just want to put my feet on you. You can play the game or do whatever, but I don't want to talk. I don't feel like talking right now.
right,
But you wouldn't know that unless I converse that and let you know that, hey, I'm not necessarily, when I feel like talking, I talk.
right.
When you want to talk, if you need to talk, I'm open to talking, but do I need to have dialogue at all times? I don't. I really would prefer not to,
Right.
honestly. I just want to feel you.
No, I feel that.
For real.
But you got you got to communicate. As long as you communicate that with people, that people got to give you the grace to understand. You know what I'm saying? People choose to be.
A lot of people not doing that though.
No,
And
they
they come
not.
into
They not.
situations and it's like you just expect, I can't come into my new situation expecting a new man to know that because my
Yeah.
old one did. Like, that's unrealistic.
Right.
But that's why you get into those arguments, because like, why you just didn't know that? You should just know how to love. You should just know
Right.
how to A, B, and C. It's like,
And it don't work
no.
like that. You got to communicate. You got to communicate. That's what it be too. It'd be a lot of
As a man,
expectations.
you should have knew. Woo, woo, woo. As a woman, you should have knew. No, I don't know. My last man don't get no fuck. He didn't care about that.
Right, right. So you got to talk about that type of shit, man. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just go off the, I like you, you like me, so let's, you know what I'm saying? And you kind of got to do a little bit more.
And that's wrong too.
Yeah,
a lot
gotta,
of people not having the proper communication in terms of
yeah,
dating. And when I first originally rebranded my brand and started Assertive Love, that's the aspect I was coming from. I had created some cards to like have thought invoke conversations, because I feel like that's the main reason a lot of people getting cheated on too, because they're not having proper conversations about what they truly desire in a bedroom. So you get in this relationship and your partner not doing what you actually like, but you never really told them what you like.
right.
You never really said A, B, and C was important to you. So now you going out seeking it from somewhere else and you hurting feelings. But all that, like you said, could have been avoided had we knew from the jump, I need this. I need this. I like this. Are you open to that?
Right.
If you're not open to it, I mean, if you haven't done it before, are you open to learning about it?
Right.
And a lot of people don't do that. Like you said, it's just more so you look good, I look good. We have fun. You spend money. You got this or you got that, and then we together. It's like, no, that's not how this works.
That's not how I go. The vetting process definitely got to be more more than just surface level. Like, oh, she look good or oh, he look good. The vetting process got to be more, especially if you really looking into like we talk about real unconditional love and real relationships and establishing something real with somebody, and you ain't just trying to just kick it. Like, these is the things in the conversations that need to be had up front. You need to have conversations about communication. You got to be able to properly communicate. Accountability is big because you always growing. And if you're not taking accountability, then you can't grow from that. You can only grow from taking accountability. And that's through any facet of life. So if you're in a relationship where y'all not communicating, and the accountability not there on either one of y'all end, is kind of doomed from the start. So those, I feel like, the two most important things that we need to address, as far as like just shifting the perception of the culture a little bit. First, unconditional love, the most important thing. Communication and accountability, I would say, is probably the next two, for shit sure.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. That make a lot of sense. But yeah, proper communication is super important. But I think a lot of that too, you can start talking to yourself. I don't think people sit and like really process their thoughts for real.
No, they
And
don't.
a
People
lot of
don't.
times I think I learned that through journaling, and journaling is a huge part of my life, like not just on a personal level, but in business too. Like I gotta write stuff down. But yeah, journaling, I feel like, will put you in that mode where you feel comfortable talking to yourself and really getting your thoughts out. And I think that's a huge issue too. A lot of times we think our feelings are facts, and that every thought in our head belongs to us, and it doesn't.
No, that's fact.
So
That's deep right there. That's deep. You brought your spatula with you today, man. You breaking out the clips with you. We gonna have to clip it up and shit. But I got another question for you too, though.
yeah.
And again, it's kind of more of like the modern shit I've been seeing, like giving a lot of pushback on too. I always see people, like, I was just on Instagram and I seen the quote, or a lot of quote, but like a little post of this girl. She was talking about how she just cooked her and her daughter dinner, but she didn't cook dinner for her husband. Something about he came in, worked out the work later, some shit like that, and she basically didn't cook dinner for him and told him that she ain't taking care of no grown man. He can cook dinner for herself. So I was just kind of like taken aback. I was like, what is it about women these days got this narrative that they don't want to take care of their man? Like, what is it
First of
about
all,
that?
let's bring it on back.
Bring it back
Let's
a little bit.
backtrack. Because my thing in them type of situations, back to self-love too, is men who be in those situations, they kind of have to accept them, because that's probably wasn't her first time showing up like that. She been giving them signs. She been who she was.
Facts.
But he's accepting that.
He is.
So you can't expect nothing different, because she showed you who she was already.
Yeah.
If she didn't really want to value taking care of you from the jump, why are y'all even living with each other? Me personally, I don't agree with that. Like in the past, I used to feel like in order to be married, you got to live with somebody to see them on a different level. But like the space I'm in now, I think until you decide you're going to be fully committed and damn near married, keep your separate spaces. Like, just stop showing up as a wife if you're not married. Stop showing up as a husband if you're not married. Like, we would avoid a lot of conflict and a lot of issues. When you get off work, go home to your own house.
No, I feel that. I don't know about that though a little bit. I got to give you a little pushback on that though too though.
Okay, come on, give me some pushback.
Because you kind of gotta. I mean, how else you gonna know?
Do you
though?
really?
How else you gonna know if a person is, that person that's for you, if you don't show up how you would show up in a wifely duty sense, or even a husbandry type of duty? Like, I get people don't say like, don't treat that lady like your wife until you marry her, but it's like, how you supposed to know then? How I supposed to be willing to give you a ring if I ain't even know, if you ain't even showing me?
Communication, we just talked about.
But you could talk a good game though. And then when I get to that ring, it could be
that's the thing too. We need to start talking about that too. Truth. Okay, we are walking technology. Your body is a computer.
Yeah.
Truth, you feel, like I was talking about the frequencies and different emotions. You can feel truth. You can feel when a person is right. You can feel when you can. Even if you're not tapped in,
some people
you don't see who's a real person. That you know, a real nigga. You know when a person is really genuinely has compassion, or if they're not. You don't always have to. That be our problem too. We want proof, and then we really only want proof to confirm that we knew. And at the end of the day, you knew that was a nice shit ass bitch. You knew that was a nice shit ass nigga. But you wait till you get in the house, and that let me just see if I can prove myself.
But you gotta see. How else you gonna do it unless you gotta see? You gotta check it out.
You don't gotta see. You can feel it.
You just buying a car off the eye test is crazy work. You can't just buy that whip off the eye test. You gotta go drive that whip around the block.
I'm not saying the full eye test, but you can be around a woman long enough without living with her to tell she really take care of her kids. I'm not saying don't go spend the night. I'm not saying don't go check in, like, but do y'all need to be completely immersed in one union
Yeah.
beforehand? No, you could go. Yeah, go over there for a week. You gonna see she steady. She don't clean up for real.
No,
She
I
don't
could agree
cook
with
for
that.
real.
I
Go
could
over
see
there
that.
for a week, and that nigga not who he was. Like you could see that in 2-3 days. It don't take for me to wait till
Yeah.
I move my whole life with chores.
Yeah, facts. No, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. You could kind of, but but some people, it depends on the person too, I think a little bit too, because
I think
some
people
people
are
do have that
codependent,
mindset
and
where
they
they like,
not
I'm
even
not going,
acknowledging that.
some people do have that mindset, like, I'm not going to truly give this person my all until I'm married. So some people do have that mindset. And it's like, how you got that mindset if like he going to get a completely different person from now until he marry you? Like, how he know that that's gonna be where he wanted to be at though? Like, you kind of got to be who you are. I don't be liking this notion that you got to be a different person based on, you know what I'm saying, outside circumstances or exterior forces. Like, you got to be who you are regardless of anything, because you can't let the world dictate you, because the world is the most fucked up place right now. So you can't let the world and what society, I feel like, is shifting to dictate the type of person that you want to be. So that's the only pushback I got about it. Like, if you're gonna be a person that's a nurturing, wifely person to that man, be that to that man, whether y'all, you know what I'm saying, married or not. Not, oh, only if I get that ring, am I
Yeah,
going?
I'm gonna be a nurturer, but I don't. But that's what I'm saying. It's the difference between being a nurturer and a caring girlfriend and a wife. Those are all just those different roles. That's just like saying when you go to work, just because you know how to be in a managerial position, you gonna just jump into the I'm gonna do everything. No, the fuck you not. You getting paid to you getting
No, you
paid to
gotta
be
start
right
doing
here.
some. You gotta
And
start
that's
doing some managerial shit before you get that promotion. Though you can't just. You gotta start looking like a manager around this bitch, man. Before we go,
man,
you
but
can't just
right,
be like,
even with
I
you looking
can be a
like
manager. Like, nah, what you mean you can be? Let me see something then. What you do? That's
let me see something is different than you stepping into the role.
yeah,
That's
but
all I'm saying.
yeah,
I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm not saying that they shouldn't show up a certain way, because I do agree. I understand what you're saying in terms of, like, you got to see it, but do you need to take on that role in totality? No, because a lot of women take on that role in totality and
yeah,
they never become a wife, and they never get what they're
that's a
looking for,
fact.
because
Yeah.
you show up 100%, and he never had to work for nothing else. He never
Mm,
had to do. Why would I? Why do I want to become your husband, and you've been showing, you've been my girlfriend, and you've been my wife this
right.
whole time? So what am I? What for? What am I gonna do that for?
Yeah, I don't, it's about communication too. I think it's all
Yeah,
specific and
facts.
subjective depending on, you know what I'm saying, what you're going through. But I just don't be liking that
That was
notion,
petty
man.
though. She
That
could have fed him. I feel
yeah, it's
like she
like, what
could
you
have
mean you
fed
don't
him.
want to
She
take
could.
care? I ain't, and then I be hearing that all the time too. I ain't your mama. I ain't his. He ain't. That ain't mama. That ain't my son. It's like,
But just like I
that's
said before,
crazy.
them type
Take
of
care of that man,
scenarios,
bro.
I agree 100%. I feel like you should. Like I said, I feel like we have a certain level of in the kitchen in terms of, like, making sure our family is healthy or whatever the case may be. But men be knowing that you knew she didn't just wake up. She didn't wake up 3 years later. She didn't wake up 6 months later and start acting how she was acting on day one. You knew. You knew that this was who you was dealing with. I don't know
Yeah,
what she did. She might got a.
she
She
put that
might be
shit
a.
on
She
him.
might got a bomb on her. She got a bomb. But
That's what it be. They be
so you
putting
know
that.
what you dealing with.
They be putting that. What my boy said, that snappy nappy dugout. They be putting that snappy nappy dugout on niggas,
Yeah.
man, and niggas be lost in the sauce. And we gotta,
And expecting people to change, but women do the
yeah.
same thing.
No,
It's like,
yeah.
he got money or he did this and now we're together and he's not emotional. He was never emotionally connected. So,
For the jump,
like,
yeah.
he he is who he is. How was he supposed to know that that's what you require, and he showed up like this from the jump and you still decided to move forward?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's sad,
We be
man.
a little delusional in the wrong ways sometimes. It'd be like, oh, he'll become a giraffe one day. No, the nigga is a nigga. What the
And then yeah, like you said, it be delusional. I think on both ends though, it be some form of delusion. Like, you gotta kind of like, you gotta give people the grace, but only when they showing that they in a space where they, you know what I'm saying, trying to elevate and
are
trying to grow.
evolving.
Yeah, and showing the sense that they prioritizing their growth and they not so necessarily wrapped up in just the regular shit that life throw at you. So I think that's important, but that shit easier said than done though, because a lot of people got the same perception that pretty much we've been had through the culture for the last 40, 50 years of the culture. So
No, they don't. Let me tell you what people got. This is what I was about to say earlier.
what people thinking now?
People are going based off what they see on the internet, and people just are going off past narratives.
Yeah.
People in their mind feel like, oh, I want to be married because I want a partner. I'm supposed to have this money. I'm supposed to live in this house. I'm supposed to have A, B, and C. But they don't even go into it really getting to know the person to create a real union. It's just to have a space holder. That's why I said that's codependence. That's not you wanting a partner or you loving somebody and being there to death do you part. Because at our age too, I don't think people are really grasping the idea that if you get married now in your 30s, the average lifespan, I think it's like 67. Don't quote me. I know it's getting less and less.
Less every year.
Between what they eat, BBL, what you put in your body, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be fucked up within the next 15 years. Are you going to be willing to stay or deal with the diabetes, or when the Ozempic go bad and our liver fall out, are you going to still be there? And nobody's really thinking about that. It's more so just, I want a partner and I want somebody to come to my house. Like I said, that's codependency. Do you want real union? Do you want a companion? Or do you just want a placeholder? And I don't think people really understand that.
No, I don't even think people are asking themselves those questions. I think they just
Right.
going through the motions and just doing it. And it's like, you gotta ask yourself those questions. Otherwise, what the fuck is you doing? Otherwise, what are you doing, bro? You wasting your time and energy.
Time and energy, and you on autopilot. You doing what you see everybody else do. That's what the Matrix is. That's what you in the rat race, because you in autopilot. You're not really thinking. You're not really processing anything that's going on. You're just allowing shit to happen. And that's why the divorce rate be so high, because now you finally get in those situations. It's like, I don't even really like this motherfucker. And do I want to be here when you get sick? Of course not, because I don't like you.
So you think that's why? Because speaking of the divorce rate is super high. I think it's more. I think it's like women probably initiate. I think it's like 80% of the divorces at this time.
You just gonna blame us for everything.
No. So I just want to know.
I think you want to blame us for everything.
I mean, the stats is the stats. I'm just going off the. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going off what the numbers say. The numbers say that women initiate 80% of the divorces, and they cite it under irreconcilable differences and infidelity. So do you think that's kind of like why you think that the divorce rate is so high now? Because like these women don't truly, you know what I'm saying,
know what they want.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see that playing a huge part for sure, because it's like, and a lot of times too with women, and I can speak personally, we give passes in terms of like that list. It's like, oh, he goes to work every day. He seems like he'll be a good father. He seems like this. Since he has these 3, I'll compromise these other 6 things that he don't have, and just to have a husband or just to have a partner. But in reality, it's like, no, if you want all 7 things, you need to let that man go, because somebody else is okay with those 3. Let him be with that person that's okay with that, and go get your 7. Because if not, you're placing false expectations on him. Now you get this man with this 3, and he get in the house, and you're aggravated, and you constantly nagging about all the stuff that you knew he didn't know how to do, or that he wasn't doing prior to. I feel like that goes with both men and women, though. I feel like men do it as well. But I know, like I said, I know personally as a woman, I found myself in that situation before, where it's like, you know, this person likes me and they have A, B, and C, so I'm okay with that because they are a good person. But a lot of times, just because it's a good man does not mean that it's your man, and that's okay. You can be okay with it.
No, I agree.
Because forever is a long time. Marriage is a deep commitment.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, going back to the bedroom, like, a lot of people will show up in a certain way, and it's like, okay, well, he pay all the bills and she cook and she do this and that, but behind closed doors, you're not satisfied. So you're going to live the rest of your life not getting what you want, or not really being who you truly are at your core, because you had. And I think that's another thing too, and that go back to learning yourself. When you know who you are, you show up as who you are. I feel like the divorce rate is high because we show up with a mask on. You show on trying to be what you think that person wants, opposed to being yourself. No, when you love me, I need you to love me, and know you got to suck toes, you got to woo woo, you got to woo woo. Like, it ain't no surprise, because this I'm putting it on the table from day one. And a lot of people don't do that. They show up with a mask, and now you 3 years in, it's like, I'm really sick of this motherfucker. But that's because that mask came off.
Yeah,
and you fell in love with the mask.
Damn. No, you ain't lying, but I think it just all ties back into what we saying with the unconditional love. People don't know
Yeah.
themselves all the way. You don't know
They wear
yourself
that
because you
mask.
never
When you
took the
love you,
time
you
to
don't gotta
find
put that
yourself.
mask on.
Yeah, so you just
Mm-hmm.
went through life not knowing who you truly are, not really finding yourself, and then you jumped into a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Now, when you start to get a little older, start to figure out yourself a little bit more, you see that ain't really what you want, and then you know what I'm saying. Versus if you would have took the time to find yourself spiritually, you would have knew what unconditional love was. You would have made a different decision, you know what I'm saying, as far as who you was gonna marry. And then maybe you probably wouldn't got divorced. So it just all stems back to, you know what I'm saying,
To self.
what we talk about to self and to self love. That's why I think your book is so important, man. I think it's super
I
important.
appreciate that. And a lot of times too, I feel like what to piggyback off what you just said, it's not even about you finding yourself out and then you leaving. You may get with a person and you show up one way in your relationship and then you truly find who you are and they not in love with that version of you.
That's true too.
So you really kind of doing a disservice to yourself showing up as somebody else or not giving yourself the opportunity to learn yourself because they might love that little version of you. They might not love you at your full potential.
Right, right. No, that's deep. I ain't never thought about it that way either. That's deep. That's a fact too though.
Yeah, people fall out of love all the time, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of times just because they not growing together.
Yeah.
And I loved you when you didn't have value. I loved you when you didn't give a fuck. I loved you when you was insecure. I loved you. Now you showing up and you doing all these things. Who are you? You thinking a certain way. You a new person. That's like
Right.
I'm not in love with that version of you because I don't know them.
No, that's a fact. They say you either growing together or you growing apart. So
Right,
I
right.
definitely agree with that, man. But yeah, man, we gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up for today. I definitely appreciate you, Chloe
I
Brianna,
appreciate you
author of the
having me.
new book. Let me get the title one more time. I Learned to Love Me, A Guide to Self-Love. I want to thank you for, again, joining us tonight, Chloe, for this special episode, just chopping in and talking about love and unconditional love and giving your perspective and your perception on a few topics. Again, I think conversations like this is super important. We definitely got to do it again. We definitely got to chop it up and
I would love
maybe
to go
talk
back.
about some different stuff, maybe some more spiritual stuff, because I know you be in your bag too. So maybe we could jump into some more spiritual stuff and talk about some different shit on the next time we link up and shit. So, but again, I definitely appreciate you for tuning in. Everybody, I need y'all to go out there, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, this is another episode of the Kickin P Podcast. Until next time, y'all stay up.